Good morning, everyone.
Amen.
Hello,
Good
Councilwoman
morning.
Green. How you
Good
doing?
morning. I'm
You enjoying your
wonderful.
vacation?
Hope you are. I am enjoying
I
it
am.
immensely.
It
Yes,
look like you're having fun. That's good.
I'm having a blast. Thank you.
Us, we have Councilmember Thompson, we have Councilmember Davis, we have Councilmember Green joining us all the way from the far shores of the Aegean Sea. So we thank her. Don't know what time it is over there, but we'll try to keep her awake long enough to get this business handled.
It's only 9:30, Mr. Mayor. It's only 9:30
PM?
I mean, excuse me, 4:30 p.m.
Okay, all right. So so obviously we'll let you get to what you need to get to. But thank you for your commitment to it. Thank you, council members, and certainly to our public safety staff, to the manager Hewitt, to our city attorney, all who've endured and came over this period during our normal course of family time and breaks to get this very important public decision handled and taken care of. So we'll move expeditiously with it. I've got a couple of colleagues that wanted to put me on the spot today for the invocation. So I ask that you please stand. We certainly need as much prayer as we can get given these times. And so I'll get Councilmember McNair and Hare at a later date. First thing I'm going to do is ask the Lord to deliver him from this purple that he wears every meeting. So, Father in heaven, we thank you so much for this day. Thank you for blessing us the way you do, keeping us the way you have. And we pray now that you would be with us as we make these decisions for your people. We pray that it would be led from a selfless position, that we would do what's in the best interest of our community and our city. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, Council, we'll use our Sure systems. Those who are on remote will call upon you when it's time to vote. So, the first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Can we have a motion?
So move.
All right. Have a motion by Councilmember Hodges, seconded by Hare. Discussion on the motion to approve the agenda. All right. Council, I look to you for your votes, and then I'll go to Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Davis and Green.
And Hare.
Green.
Okay. All right. So that's unanimous. All right. Moving to 5.1. As you know, the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the consolidation of the E911 PSAP. I'd like to first commend Mayor Pro Tem Thompson, as well as Councilmember Hondros and many others, our city manager, city attorney, who joined and put in a lot of long hours to work with the county subcommittee or work group to get us to a consolidated agreement for 911 services here. We thank our chiefs, thank our public safety director, Ms. Reed, for loaning us their professional expertise as we've tried to craft policy. Council, just to kind of bring us up to speed of where we are, when we left this conversation last week and we asked for an additional time extension from Senator McGinnis and the legislator, we have come to an agreement of a joint governance structure, which basically will be a city and county collaboration, which will, in North Carolina, there are two entities. You can either have an independent authority, which two public bodies come together with special legislation to do certain specific things, or you can have an interlocal agreement that ties or binds public entities for a specific purpose. And this, what we're discussing today, is a scenario of a joint governance where the city and the county will have functions. It will be a hybrid model where certain duties, according to the work group's negotiations, will be held by the city and the county in a joint governance model where this governance board, which will have both city and county representation as well as representative from one of the other municipalities on a rotationary basis. In addition to that, it will have a policy representative from the EMS. And so this governance board, which the complete composition will still be fleshed out in the interlocal agreement, will work on policy and budget items. Under that structure will be an operating board made up of professionals, the chiefs of the police and fire, OCS director, and then county representatives. People who use the system will craft the policies and make the requests for the infrastructure and the policies and the budget items needed to do their jobs efficiently. So under that governance board will be the operating board. In light of all of that, you will have to have, only from a administrative facilitation perspective, you will have to have someone who collects funds and who makes and applies for grants, funding, and those kind of things. And the agreement for the initial term of, I think part of the proposed time frames are 5-year agreement will start with the county, a review in 5 years, will rotate. But that particular administrator is there only for the purpose of administration of dollars, procurement of contracts, not policy setting, not budget setting, not standard operating procedure setting. And so those were the terms that were laid out thus far. Today, we wanted to be responsive to the request of the legislator to get back a joint resolution, which you all have a copy of that on your desk. And for the listening audience, I'll read that. And it says, whereas the Fayetteville City...
Mayor, I'm so sorry. I was just made aware that this is not the final draft. This is the one from last night. Apparently there was another one that was sent this morning. Okay. We are working on getting
So
that.
I'll make the insertions. I just want to cover the highlights of it. All right, so basically, whereas that both boards would agree if this is passed on our end. I understand the county has recently passed theirs. City and county reaffirm their commitment to consolidation of 911 emergency communications operations between the city of Fayetteville and Cumberland County into a single system, unified public safety answering point, or PSAP. It says, whereas the city council and the county board of commissioners have established a group of elected officials and staff to work through the process and the details of how consolidation shall be accomplished. And whereas this working group reports that it has made substantial and significant progress in this goal for the city and county board of commissioners to adopt this joint resolution. And then it also says, now therefore be it resolved, and Madam Attorney, you can jump in as to where we need to stick the latest version. But whereas both boards hereby resolve that the parties shall enter into an interlocal agreement to create a joint agency to undertake the business of consolidated PSAP. This joint agency shall be governed by a governing board, which I described the composition of that, consisting of between 7 and 9 members. Those details have yet to be completely fleshed out. Appointed by the prospective parties, both the city and the county, in accordance with the interlocal agreement. The joint agency shall have full responsibility and authority for the consolidated PSAP. Its governing board shall be the decision maker for all matters concerning the joint agency. Secondly, the administrative unit, the interlocal agreement shall designate the county as the initial local government unit for administrative matters only relating to the joint agency. These administrative matters shall include financial matters and process. It does have contracting and procurement, which was something that the governing board will set or approve those procurement contracts. We'll speak to the personnel and human resource functions that we talked about. The joint agency will be for the purpose of payroll and administration, Cumberland County employees subject to personnel ordinance and policies set by the governing board. ILS shall designate Cumberland County as the local government unit for those matters that require local government approval, request, and accept on behalf of this joint agency. So to talk about that a bit, within that agreement, what the city council has, or the work group is proposing to the council, which the work group proposed to the county commissioners, that the specialized services that we have unique to our community, which will be Office Community Safety functions, our technologies through the public safety area of shot spotter drone, those kind of specific dispatch items, our fire department, those specialized services, or the CIC. And Mr. Hewitt, remind me what the CIC's acronyms were. Crime Information Center will be ran by the city. Those staff members will be city members and city employees within the PSAP location. And so those are some of the things that we'll work out, but that is an important fact. In addition to that, part of what, as we work toward this interlocal agreement, which the goal is to have that negotiated and executed within 60 days, is the commitment that both boards are making, that Ms. Reed or our current public safety director will lead the efforts on our personnel. One of the big things that this board said were important was the preservation of the investment in training, accreditation, in staff, seniority, pay. All staff-related personnel parity items will be preserved and default to the highest standard. And so it was unanimous on the commission side by way of their adoption of this resolution that we're talking about, that would be led by Ms. Reed or someone on our side to help with the transition of that. Also, an integrator would be brought in, which is a third neutral party, as we had worked toward making sure that we had a balanced integration process that favored neither the city nor the county, but our community. The integrator would be determined by this joint board in a joint way to bring in to help us to answer some of the details and to help us transition as a community into a unified PSAP. The performance standards, the governing board that we discussed shall be responsible to cause the PSAP to maintain service levels and meet or exceed the standards established by the North Carolina 911 Board and National Emergency Number Association, with all applicable requirements as indicated in Chapter 143 of the General Statute, including training, certification, and technical operations, call handling, and dispatch protocols. So those are the things that we talked about. And then finally, the timeline stated in the resolution says within 60 days of adoption of this resolution, the parties shall complete the ILA, or the interlocal agreement referenced herein, and the parties shall approve the ILA and enter into the minutes of the meeting at which the approval was done. Therefore, the parties hereby respectfully request that the North Carolina General Assembly defer state intervention while the parties collaborate toward consolidated PSAP operations, which is a big piece to keep this decision local. One of the things that was a selling point for the work group was that in the event that an independent authority was desired or the desired path, that would require the state legislator to create the bill. And this needed to be a local decision. It's going to impact the services that we deliver to the local community. And so keeping this local was one of the things that we all desired to do. And the last statement of this resolution request by both boards, which was unanimously passed on the county side a few minutes ago, that the General Assembly and would allow the city and the county and the local decision makers and policy makers to make this decision and to defer any intervention. And so that is the crutch of what we have at this point. And I'll open up for any comments or questions. So, Councilman Hare.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for pulling us in off of our vacation time to take care of this very important concern. I still stand today that I did not like that it was a form of a hostile movement for this to be done. So I still want that to be in the records that that's just how I feel about it still today. But so this is where we are. Within the 5-year portion where we have the turnover, I didn't hear you said a number of items, but you didn't say what does that do for the employees within that 5-year setting. You said there was a 5-year period and you named several different bullets, but you didn't say anything about employee setting. And I have like 3 more. You want to do that one first?
Yeah, just to make sure I'm clear on what you're saying. So the 5-year reference was that it's a joint agency, but there has to be one agency that receives and applies for funds and distributes funds. And in this case, it would start out with the county. The 5-year rotation is that it can be moved to where the city would be that. And so the example that we're looking at is how we do economic development with ECD. Robo's board consists of appointees by the city and the county. They make the policy. He answers to the board. But the county receives, I guess, our contribution to EDC and PwC's contribution, and then they make the disbursements as the facilitator, but no decision making. So that was the 5-year point. So the employees would not be impacted by that, if that's what you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. The board members, if I understood correctly, and what I had read earlier with our dialogue, you and I, is it still set where each board would give 3 selective members? So that would be a total of 6 for the board. Did I understand that correct?
So the work group hadn't fully flushed that out, but it would be equal appointment. So that's why it says between 7 and 9, or 6 and 9. The idea that was discussed would be that there would be, two council members, a council appointee, either another council member or a citizen appointee by the city. Same for the county. And then the other seat would be an EMS representative, or someone that EMS, a policymaker of EMS, not necessarily a user of the system, but someone that represents EMS in the process. And then a rotating seat amongst the other 8 municipalities that they would serve in a rotating basis, that, each town or city.
As far as the money part, the grant funding that comes in, is there any form of a percentage that directly would come to the city, or would the county have the full governing body of dispensing any funds out?
So the governing board sets the budget and the policy and the procedures. The role that county plays outside of that would be receiving and distributing and executing the will of the governing board. And so if I understand you correct, So let's say now that, from my understanding, and these are some of the numerical details that haven't been flushed out, that there is a base level of expense that the county has agreed should be paid by them for all 9 municipalities, including the city. Then there is the money that will come in from the state or from grants that is deducted from the total operating cost. So let's say it's $5 million. The county says that, our responsibility for all residents of the county, to include the city, is $1 million, and then they get a grant for another $1 million, and then the whatever's left, the net cost is allocated, is split between the city and the county, either 50-50 or on a call basis, or some formula. But they would put up a baseline amount that they do. If they do it for Godwin, they need to do it for Fayetteville, and they agreed to that. But all 9 municipalities would get some base level of service or the expense.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it, Mayor. I will stand down and give my other colleagues an opportunity to ask questions.
All right. Councilmember McNair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is geared towards public safety. How will the consolidation of 911 operation affect response time and service level in the community? And also, would there be matrix in place to evaluate performance post-consolidation?
To your first question, is the governing board is very important, because the director, let's say, I'm not volunteering, Ms. Reed, but let's say it was someone that is represented at the time as Ms. Reed, would report to that governing board for the standards, right? And then she would train the personnel. And so the fact of the initial call dispatching of the personnel and the training and the credentials that they have would be at the highest level that exists. And so the goal is that there be no interruption there. The other thing is that the funding of that, to make sure that, if the city puts $5 million into public safety and the county puts $4 million in, that the governing board makes sure that there's equal investment to make sure that the resources are not imbalanced. And so the response time and the matrix that you talked about need to be defined, but the users of that operating board tell us best how to do that. And that's why that's important. So within this joint structure, you still have our specialized service, which is police, fire, and OCS, that operates the way they do, just up under that umbrella. So, the hope is that we preserve what we have, but at the same time be a part of the bigger system for where the initial call comes in. So did that answer? And the matrix will be defined by the integrator. So when we brought in the integrator and we talked to our professionals, they would say, these are the things that you need to look for to make sure that it's not compromised, that, the ISO rating of the fire department is still there. And I'm just speaking this as a non-professional, but just trying to give examples that, right now they respond within a minute and a half or whatever that is, that those things don't change. So we need the integrator and their input to tell us what to look for. There are off-ramps that will be built into this to say that if this consolidation is not conducive or doesn't work for the parties, that there is an exit. One of the things that the work group wanted to make sure were protected was that real estate would not be transferred. That if we built the new facility location, it's built large enough to accommodate, it's built for the future state-of-the-art equipment. We made a lot of investment into our technology, and so those things remain the assets of the city. And so in the event that this didn't work out and it had to break back out, the city still preserved that.
Okay, I have one more question, sir. My next question is concerning public engagement. Do we have any plans in place to keep the community informed about the progress of the consolidation?
I think we do. I believe that the first step is that we put a timeline out there to not only the the legislator, but to the public, to say that we're committed to getting some things in place by these times. I think during those times, it's incumbent upon the city and the county to involve the community in the conversation. That we have our meetings that are announced in public. That we allow opportunity for engagement. But the work group didn't specifically lay out that. But I certainly support it and would love to have the council weigh in on that as well. So I'll get a consensus check in on that question.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Councilmember McMillan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your work and your leadership on this. And then also want to say thanks to the staff and our colleagues putting in some extra hours in the last few weeks in the spirit of conciliation in a lot of ways to get this done and carve out some favorable terms for the city. I had questions about budget impacts. How soon do you think we'll know how this impacts our fiscal year 27 budget? And then I'm just curious as to how different this is from our interlocal agreements and our other joint agencies that already exist in between us and Cumberland County.
Good question. So the budget, I think that as the work group and the integrators brought on, and this may be a manager question, how soon will I guess there'll be any budgetary impacts? I think the first step was to set that governing board structure up and to get that seated, because it will be needed for identifying an integrator. But Mr. Hewitt, you want to speak to the budgetary question that Councilmember McMillan had?
Yes, sir. I would anticipate that the budget that we have for the department or the function would remain the same through this current fiscal year. We may have to may make some adjustments on projects that we were contemplating, but as it relates to payroll, as it relates to other operational activities, even under the best case scenario, I think we were looking at when we talked about it 2 years or next fiscal year that it would be fully integrated. There would be some changes, but I don't see any that we would spend more money, and I don't think we would spend substantially less money over the next 11, 12 months. Thank you.
And what was the second half of your question?
Yeah, how different is this from other existing joint agencies between us and Cumberland County and other interlocal agreements?
So the interlocal agreement we have with them now that exists is Parks and Rec, I guess, right? Which was done in 2006. The attorney could probably speak to that. I think this is a little different because of the importance of public safety, and the policy direction will be set by a joint board, whereas I think we're more of a service provider for the current agreement. We kind of manage that, and they reimburse us or give us money for the things that they need to do that Michael executes. And so, using him as an example, he responds to or reports to the county as a service provider, more so kind of a contracted function, whereas this board will really consist of city and county policy making and budgeting. And instead of being a service provider for someone else, we will both provide public safety service for the entire county. So I think that's probably going to be the difference. It's a little bit more teeth in this model, I think. Madam Attorney, Mr. Hewitt?
Yes, I think that the mayor captured a significant portion of it. The operations over the last 20 years, we have basically managed and maintained the assets for the county and outside of the city and their district. The county has retained ownership of those assets, and they collect a tax from the district that they remit to the city for us to provide all of the staff. So all of the staff that operate out in the district for the county and the Parks and Rec are city staff, but they are paid for through the district funds. And any arrangement that we're looking at here, there would no longer, the assets, I think, are some of the things that the mayor and the working group looked at with the county's working group, as that the assets of the city or the assets of the county potentially could remain the same, and the employees would become, instead of city employees and county employees, would become county employees under the 911 model that is contemplated here. The mayor also hit it that the governance, though, would be a little bit different. The governance, where it rests now, through an interlocal agreement, we describe certain things that we do for the county on Parks and Rec, and that's why the next 60 days or so, if this is adopted by council and advances, the ILA is going to be crucial to really hammer out all of those details, not only for how we move forward to consolidate, but also, as the mayor mentioned, what happens in 5 years if it's not moving the way we want it. What protections, if any, do we have? And those are where I know that the working group was laser focused on that, as am I and the staff as well, to make sure that that interlocal agreement, whether at least we identify all of the issues that we can think of before we would bring that back to council and the commissioners in 60 days. So it's a lot of work been done over the last couple of weeks, but the heavy lift, if this moves forward, will be over the next 60 days.
All right. Councilmember Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not to belabor the point, just want to say initially, it's before I get to my point, it is a little disappointing how we got here. I'm gonna be honest. I have to agree with Councilman here with that. Nevertheless, we're here. We're here, and I've heard even before my time on council, it shouldn't matter who runs it. Apparently, it does. So I mean, we're here. We're where we are. We're just here. We were just here. So I just want to piggyback on something you mentioned. You answered part of it in regards to the asset ownership. Where would that put us in regards to our current process, where we are now with the E911 center?
Yeah, great question. So right now, it would as this moves and you bring on the integration, the executive place, I guess, would while the construction would move forward on the new 911 center that the city's doing, it would take some time to build it. I guess consolidation may start before that's completed. The construction is complete. Executive place would kind of serve as the primary, and what our current location would be the backup, from my understanding, in the discussions. After that construction is complete, our building, a new facility, would be the primary, and executive place would be the backup. But each city and county would retain ownership of their real property. So there would not be, because you don't have a separate unit of government, assets would not be transferred into this joint agreement, as it would have been discussed in a authority, that who would own it. So I think it was important for the work group to make sure that we always own our building, that our taxpayers paid for the public safety bond, their investment is protected. Even our investment in, I think just as you would merge any two entities, you need to do an assessment of what you currently own before it comes together. So we need to analyze and estimate what we already have, not only with real estate, but with our investment in software and systems and those kind of things. So, but that will remain separate and apart.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's where I was going. Next, I know it stated that the highest standards would be maintained. Would we, currently where we are now, would we, with our police department, et cetera, and our fire department, would they lose any of their international, national certifications in this process?
So initially the question was asked before we got to this model, what happens if the city runs it? What happens if the county runs it? Was it TRIARC? TRIARC, yeah. That the city, that our law enforcement has been working on, that TRIARC certification. They put a lot of time and investment. They've got a lot of equity in TRIARC. Okay, so the TRIARC is the higher of the two, right? And so I guess the long short is, I don't know that we've asked the accrediting agencies about this joint partnership and what we retain and what they retain. I don't think the work group has crossed that. Now, the previous email that was shared with us by the chief said that if the city didn't run it, that accreditation process would start over, I guess, because and to me, from my understanding, that is more of a law enforcement accreditation, whereas you have the fire and you have EMS and you have law enforcement, that is the highest standard of the law enforcement accreditation on that side. So that would be a question that I guess the integrator and the accreditation group will, how we preserve what we have invested in it.
All right, thank you. And I was curious in that, and then I know you may not have this answer, I'm just putting it out there. If we did lose that, how long would it take to actually regain it under that current metric standard? And then I think you answered this already in regards to, and this may be digging to the weeds into something later with the our LA, but where each municipality said would pay into the cost based on usage, or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, so the proposal, and we haven't worked out all of the financial details. The work will be focused on funding and who pays what. But the proposal that was mentioned, but not necessarily adopted or agreed upon, was that there will be a base level paid by the county for all 9 municipalities and every resident in the county, and that there be some formula, either call volume or population or something, some formula that that the city's contribution came in. Originally, I think it was 50-50. Mr. Manager, you want to speak to what was discussed but not necessarily agreed to on the on how the financial part worked in their proposal? Was it 50-50 for so many years and then based on call volume, or what was the proposal?
What we saw was it was, and I don't have it in front of me, Mayor. I think it was 70-30, and then it was it 50-50, and then it went to where the county would pay for the basic dispatch and we would pay for enhanced. But that would also be something that we would take a look at, hopefully in the interlocal agreement, as well as how, if we build something new, we would be looking at recouping those costs from the joint authority, so that if that's going to become our primary for the entire county, then we'd want to have an opportunity to review that as well.
Okay.
Right, and then I think the other part that was different from when they originally proposed that was that we would retain our specialized services. Our CIC would still be ours, so any cost affiliated with that, okay, but the control of that would still remain in the city, just under that umbrella.
Understood. Well, thank you so much. Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and those that were part of the committee and working on this on our behalf. I know you all put a lot of time in it, so we appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Councilmember Hondros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank staff. I want to thank your leadership, sir, Mayor Pro Tem. I want to thank the county, Chairman Deviere and Vice Chairwoman, Commissioner at Large Jones, and Commissioner Tyson for their work on this. Just trying to take in comments from our colleagues today and try to tie this with a knot, and I'll kind of work in reverse order. So my colleague to my right here asked about the accreditations, and I'm in no way an expert on this, but 2 of the consolidated 911s we looked at was Knox 911 in Tennessee and Jefferson County, Colorado. As the mayor stated, if it was a single entity, county running it versus city running it, there may be some implications with our accreditations. As of today, I think both the city and the county are tri-ACE. The city, we're working towards tri-ARC. I think we're on pace to get it about a year from now, around June of 27. In a consolidated, so this would be, the county would be the administrative unit, I think is what the legislation calls it. So they do the payroll, admin, HR, those things, but the governance would be a joint governance, right? So I don't know that we have the answers today of what that would look like as far as the accreditation, but I know when I looked at Knox, the Knox 911, which is their consolidated 911 PSAP, was tri-ACE accredited, but Knox PD was tri-ARC. So I'm not saying this is fact. I'm saying it appears there may be a possibility where a consolidated 911 PSAP for Cumberland County could be tri-ACE, and then Fayetteville PD, as an example, could still be tri-ARC accredited. But I think I've heard several of the colleagues say that, we're not necessarily pleased with how we got here, but we're here, so we have to move forward, right? And this is where it comes in, where I thank our counterparts at the county in that when the state legislature decided to weigh in and kind of, kind of force us to consolidate, unfortunately, our county partners hold more cars than we do. So the fact that they're willing to concede on anything, to me, gives me a little hope and cautious optimism that they're willing to work with us and make a true joint partnership, right? So those of us like myself that have lived here for 50 years, we lament the fact that the county and the city and maybe our utility and different entities don't always work together. Maybe, this could be the beginning of that, possibly. So I think, I say all that to say the true partnership is not necessarily from this resolution. I think this is the first step today to basically do as instructed by the state legislature. I think the true partnership is going to be in the interlocal agreement and the true joint governance model. So I think our emergency responders raised some great reservations, concerns, and I think we've addressed those as best as we could up until this point, but we have to continue to address those, and I think that will be done in the interlocal agreement. So I think as we collectively identify what those concerns are and make sure that they're all addressed in that interlocal agreement, I think that's the path I see forward. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I go to Councilman McNair for the second round, Mayor Pro Tem's got his hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just say that I am very well pleased that our colleagues are engaged, knowing that public safety is our #1 priority in keeping our community safe. These questions has been great. The working board has been listening to you, and we're trying to get those included in our ILA. But just rest assured that the hard work starts today when we try to get to a point where we can both agree to the intricate works of how we move forward in this ILA. But not to repeat what has already been said, I would like for you to comment, Mr. Mayor, and tell them about how we also ask that our technology and our software doesn't go outdated, that we will make sure that we're up to date to make sure that our community is being kept safe with the modern technology.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So, I do have to say the work group was kind of uncompromising on making sure that that our assets were preserved, personnel, and our technology and our software. The county was very open to making sure that we have the best of the best. That we understand that, not saying that the systems we have are all perfect, but that the investments that we've made, that no one loses that, and that we both have to understand that if there's software modernizations or upgrades of certain technologies, that we have to make those investments in there. That's why that board is going to be critical that governs that. Basically, the administrative functions of the county in this case initially will be to execute the will of that board. So that board is going to be important with making sure that those things that are important and that are needed for the community are preserved. Secondary to that is the board of the users, that their input is definitely critical, and that's why the model that was discussed, the director has direct tie-in to the governance part, so in the event that, hey, listen, we need a new CAD system, for example, or we need the latest version of X, that the governing board and that director have a close relationship that is advocated for and put into the policy and the budget. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for highlighting that, but that was an area that I think there was alignment on both sides with.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember McNair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the second round. First, I want to say it is pleasing to hear that we are moving forward because we are a forward-thinking board. My question is, I heard a couple of you mention authority. which is very important to elaborate on. My question is, will the joint agency have the authority to make unilateral operational decisions, or will all actions require consensus from both Fayetteville City Council and the Cumberland County Board of Commissions?
So, if I understand you correct, so the decision of the governance board to do policy and budget pertaining to that rests with that board. Now, the budget requests that, if the board says we need $1 million, then that has to come to the city and it has to go to the county commission for approval in order to be able to do that. So, I guess the city and council and the county commission will still have to be involved with funding this to the levels that the requests are made. Does that answer what you're asking?
Did you speak on the consensus?
Consensus of the council?
Yeah, having to.
Oh,
vote.
for decisions made.
Yeah.
So that board would have to agree on actions, just like this board. That if it's 7 members, if it's 9 members, you have to get a majority to make any decisions. And then I think what, and of course we haven't gotten this detailed because we would need the integrator's professional opinion as to how other communities have done this. But at the beginning of the year, when we make our contribution, unless there's something that is unplanned or unscheduled, I think we make our contribution to that process, and then the city council is now out of it, because you don't want to take the authority or water down the authority of the joint board, right? Because they'll have more insight on what's going on or what's needed specifically, whereas the city council. So in other words, as we do with economic development, we write our $500,000 check, and then Robo's board determines the priorities, but there's accountability that they report back to the city and to the county.
Okay, so other words, we will only have to vote on funding.
Again, the integrator, the city council is going to be involved in that, even though the work group will still be meeting. Once the integrator's decided, the city council will decide on who's on the governance board. So that's a big part. It's just like a PwC appointment. City council will decide on the integrator selection and how they're paid, and the city council will be involved in the recommendations that the integrator brings, just like the county commission. So, we'll be involved at each step of it. But I think after it's up and moving, that you got to allow that board to have its own independence and self-governance to run specifically public safety. Did that help?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilman Hare.
Thank you, Mayor. When up under what we have right now, whenever if the leadership or the director or the supervisor of the 911 comes from the city of Fayetteville, what happens when that person retires? Is it within the MOU that it still will have the governance leadership, body, employee leadership from the city, or what direction would that go?
So initially, the consensus from both from the county and from the work group, and hopefully we'll reach it from the city council today, is to allow our team and Ms. Reed to lead that, right? If she's willing to do that. Now, what happens after that, and after it's established, I think is a conversation that the joint board and the city and the county commissions have to figure out what that looks like with input from the integrator. Because the integrator is going to probably suggest a model that is not built around a person, but a process. And so I would think that we would be open to hearing what the integrator has to say, but if she's willing and able to do it, I think that is the most familiar circumstance that the city council can have, because we know the work that she's done for us, and to be able to lead that would be a huge advantage.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Council, any other questions? Anybody, any other hands raised? All right. So, Council, before us, and what we've talked about in detail is the resolution that we are required to get back to Senator McKinnis and to our delegation today by 11:59 p.m. So, with that, I'll open it up for consideration to adopt this so that we can do that. Also, last thing I wanted to make sure that we did cover is that if this is adopted, I would sign it on behalf of the City Council. But we would like to continue the work group working until we get this process going, because it has a 60-day, which is a pretty aggressive window from the execution of these resolutions. So within that 60 days, the integrator has to be brought on board, and within that 60 days, interlocal agreement needs to be drafted and adopted by the boards. And so we've got a lot of work to do for these work groups. They'll probably have several meetings between now and then in order to keep us on schedule. So we can take a separate action for that, but I just want to make sure that's clarified in this meeting today. Councilman Hill,
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move to make a motion. I move that we adopt the joint resolution of the City of Fayetteville and Cumberland County Board of Commissioners with the intent and the agreement to establish a single public safety answering point for Cumberland County.
all right. Is a motion by
And-
Council?
I second it.
Go ahead, sir.
You done?
Well, we have the second, but I was just wondering, those other items that we were just speaking on, is that something that need to be notated in this, or that just goes with understanding?
I'll probably take a separate vote for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, the motion that's been moved and seconded by Councilman Harry and McNair is to adopt the joint resolution that we've discussed that's in front of us. Okay. Now, Councilman Ferguson, I saw your light. So you had a question or discussion?
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a quick question. You alluded to earlier in relation to the joint agency about some council members may be a part of that. I recall that I think both sides were saying that elected officials maybe should not be a part of the governing board. Is that something that we're still looking at, or do we agree that
So there
elected
were two,
officials should not be a part of the
the
governing
two
board?
boards. So the one that I think elected officials should stay clear of is the operational board, right? The one that determines how the system works, how it's used. You know, we've heard Chief Dove and we heard Chief Bryant and others say, look, the last thing that we need is to make our job political. And so I think we should definitely stay clear of that one, which determines how the system is used and the things that they need. The board that I believe we do need policymakers on to determine budgets will be the governance board, because that is where the policy and the budget. Remember, our job is only twofold: policy and budget, and that is the same representation that we'll give to that board, which its job will be policy and budget.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Hondros, I saw your finger.
Yes, sir. I was just going to add that I think, and you mentioned it, kind of keeping it separate. So the question from our colleague about the operations and the governance being separate. So, but also, I think our goal or what's in front of us today is the resolution, right? And then, so I think it's wise, and I agree to separate the other motions out, because that's going to be a whole another more in-depth discussion, the interlocal agreement and those things, and how the governance is set up, how the operations is set up. Those are still kind of to be determined.
Right. Okay. All right. Any comments, questions on or discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor, I dropped the call, so in case I drop it again, I'm green.
Okay. All right. All right, Council, I'll look to you for your vote. And
Green.
Okay, and Councilmember Green and Davis? They still on?
They're still on.
Councilman Davis and Green, y'all want to type in your... Councilman Hondros, was that in Greek? Okay. How you say green in Greek? All right. Green. Okay. All right. That passes unanimous. So we thank you for the adoption of that. Now, Councilman Hare, the separate action that you were going to take, or I was asking the council to consider, would be to keep the work group working with a report back. We can do a report back in 2 weeks or every 2 meetings, kind of report back to the council as to where we are. And so if you can, give us a motion for that.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, I would like to move that, and with the adoption of the 911 call, that we also request that the work group continues and that they would periodically report back to council with their updates.
All right. There's a motion by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Jones. Discussion. All right, council, I'll look to you for your vote on that.
Green.
All right. And Davis?
It's like,
That was him or Green? Green. Okay. All right. All right. And so that motion carries unanimous as well. And so I guess, Madam Attorney, as the work subgroup works, are those considered open meetings, or what's our guidelines?
I would say with the action the council just took, that they are official subcommittees of the council, and then yes,
Okay.
would be.
All right, so
open
we'll
meetings.
announce it, and make sure we share it with the public at this point. There may be, I think this is a lot of work ahead. Council, I thank you for your commitment to it. Thank you for coming in off of your break and vacation and calling us from halfway across the world. So we appreciate it, and we'll continue to work toward bringing the best public safety circumstance to our community. Thank to the county commissioners, Chairman Deviere and Tyson, and Chairwoman Jones, for your commitment, your leadership, and working through this, and we look forward to working with you. So, council, if there's nothing else, we look to you. All right. Thank you.